Me too.
What?
Oh, whoops.
All right. Tell us how our audio sounds, so that way we know we got this right. Sounds. So that way All right. We're here for all the fans of the TemzOffgrid channel. Just kidding. We're here to take all your questions of our 180 plus videos on our channel now. We're YouTube famous. Maybe not. Welcome Agrizilla and TemCL, as well as Anthony is on here. Team Saccone. All right. You know, the first question we probably have for everybody out here is, what might be your favorite video that you've watched on the channel so far? Anybody? Because there's been a lot of them. What'd you say?
10 people.
Yes, that's right. Yes. Now, oh, the Pantera concert. All right. Yes. So, this live is our favorite because it's unscripted, it's raw. So, you know, some of the videos we've been doing during the week, we're reviewing gear because I can't get out into the bush during the week. So we get out here and review gear. So you'll see some stuff that we did over here on the last couple weeks or last few days with first aid kits and stuff. How did two people from Staten Island survive in West Virginia? Very carefully. That's how they do it. So you got to have lots of food and water, and don't drink any stagnant water that you haven't filtered. If we got Alan here, hello to Alan. And we've got Thomas Ciccone. If anybody's not been to his channel, you need to go check out his channel. Tommy, will you put a link in there to it? The man Ethan, look at that. Yeah. The Latiers are in the house. So last night we reviewed a bunch of different things. We did some mess kits that we reviewed. A couple of them are from GSI Outdoors. We did the Soloist and we did the Duelist. Obviously, they sound like they sound. Soloist for a single person, Duelist for two people or so. Just reviewing some of the gear that you would take out on camping trips and stuff like that. Did anybody watch any of the? Oh, why is Ethan being camera shy? I don't know. Come back over here, man. No, I don't know if he's coming back or not. But if you get a chance, check out some of those videos from this weekend where we did the hiking on the Appalachian Trail. We built a debris hut that I had to sleep in. It got pretty interesting. It was this massive tree that had been cut down and had fallen over. I built that debris hut and crawled up in there. What was weird about it was the inside of the tree was like split wide open. So when I crawled into the debris hut at night to go to bed, it looked like a family of raccoons could live inside of this hollowed out tree. So it was looking a little dangerous as I was getting ready to go to bed. So I rotated myself to make sure my head was going out of the debris hut and not back there where that thing was split open. What are basic items to have in the house just in case things go south? That is a great question. All right. So first I start with like rules of three, right? So anybody want to tell me what the first rule of three is? 3 minutes without 3 minutes without
Oxygen.
Yeah, 3 minutes without air. So there's no preparation you need to do for that, except if you were worried about some NBC type event, nuclear, biological, or chemical, that you had respirators. So that can make sure you have more air than 3 minutes. So, all right, now we've got 3 hours without shelter.
Shelter.
All right. So you need shelter, right? So things that you would have in your house if you need. Hey, are you trying to script me over here? All right. So some other things that you would have if you had to leave the house, you would need to take some shelter with you, tents and things like that. But since you're already in your house, you already have shelter. So the next one would be 3 days without
Water.
water. So you need water. So number one, you need water because you already got airs covered, you got shelters covered because you're in your house. So first thing you need to have covered is water. So if you are going into a utility outage or something like that, they'll lose pressure on all the water lines that are going to your house, and that's when groundwater seeps into the water supplies to your house. So that's when you get these recommended boil your water and all those notices come out. Or if you're on a well, you don't have to worry about that because your well's still going. But again, if you've lost power or something like that, now's the time to collect water, or you would have previously collected water. So there are these things called a water bob that you can put into the bathtub and fill it with water and can have a dispenser. So it's better than filling your soap scum bathtub full of water. You could fill a water bob full of water, which is like a poly bag the size of your bathtub. Or you can fill drums and rotate these, or fill 5-gallon jugs and have them in a secure place, preferably 70 degrees outside of daylight and things like that. And if it's well water, you need to put a few drops of bleach per 5 gallons so that it stays for longer, because normal water has chlorine. It's not going to go bad very often if it's at 70 and not in daylight. But your well water, you need to put a couple drops of bleach in there. All right. So we've covered 3 minutes without air, 3 hours.
Without shelter.
All right. 3 days.
Without water.
3 weeks.
Without food.
Food. All right. Need to have food. So the next thing is look for, storable food that has a long shelf life, or build up some food stores of food that you go through on a regular basis, right? So I would tend to look at what do we already eat that has a longer shelf life, and look at some of your canned goods. They really don't have as long a shelf life as what you would think they would have, right? So a lot of canned goods is 2 to 3 years. Some canned meats might be 5 years. Some number 10 cans of dehydrated food could be 20 years, 30 years. All right. So pay attention to this stuff. And look, I'm hungry after 2 hours. Yes, right. You're hungry already. And I haven't even been talking 2 hours. But food. So when you start thinking about the food, you start thinking about rotations and expiration dates and all that stuff. It starts to get real complicated real quick. So one thing you could do is just buy 20, 30 year dehydrated food, store that, and you never think about it again. It's cheap insurance. We call this food insurance. You do this one time, you never have to do it again, right? But if you're thinking that food solution is like ramen noodles and stuff like that, go look at the expiration and go look at the nutritional value. So that's not good stored food to have. All right. Jalapeno poppers and lots of toilet paper. So now we know where the toilet paper went. All right. It's at Alan's house. And, we got a call out from Agrizilla. Excellent call out on well water. Yes, right. I found that out the hard way because I left well water in the camper. And over time, it started smelling like rotten eggs in there. All right. And that's just because you don't have any bleach or anything else in there, or bleach, chlorine, etc. Rice. All right. Yes, on the rice. So maybe Ethan and I will do some videos on how we take rice into Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers and we seal those up. Look, but I like ramen noodles. Of course you do. But you got to, no more ramen noodles. It's over. Sodium, too much. All right. But anyways, back to it. We can do some videos where we show you how to, measure how much rice you want to put into the Mylar bag, put your oxygen absorbers in there, and then we'll seal it up with one of those straight irons. Is what we found to be the easiest way to do it. and then we write on it what's in that bag, what was the date, and all that stuff. So that way we know, probably like 20 years on that. Fire ash in a t-shirt as a filter. There you go, right? And you can also use, and that was through the comment that Alan has right there, use fire ash in a t-shirt as a filter if you run out of chlorine, pool shock, right? So there's the right mixtures to use with sodium hypochlorite to use as a bleach alternative, because it's pretty much the same thing at the end of the day. All right, red beans and rice. Yes, look, I have a lot of black turtle beans because black turtle beans are super nutritious, and the price per pound is just right. So I have lots of black turtle beans. I have lots of rice. So those are two great ideas. And we mentioned before canned meat. So find different canned meats, but do not buy something you're not going to consume. So I'm going to tell you, we just went through a couple months of salmon cakes. And my wife got really good at making the salmon cakes because we had a lot of salmon in storage that we needed to work through. And I will tell you, if you get canned salmon, make sure it's deboned. All right. So we learned that the hard way too. Ethan, what's your favorite survival food?
What?
Alan has asked, what is your favorite survival food?
Out of what?
Well, this weekend you had some survival food.
Hmm.
Yeah. Which two did you try this weekend?
The Alfredo chicken
Chicken fettuccine Alfredo and
and the beef stroganoff.
mm,
Um,
anybody here from the military who may have had beef stroganoff over the years? He thought you liked ribs, but this weekend we didn't have ribs, so we had the beef stroganoff and the chicken fettuccine Alfredo, which Ethan learned real quick that Alfredo was way better than the beef stroganoff. But still, the beef stroganoff was pretty good. If you do go back and watch that video, we'll show that sometimes they're asking you or giving you directions to use more water than you really need in some of those meals. So back off on the water a little bit, because what happens with some of the boys is they'll be like, "Oh, this looks like soup. I don't want to eat this." Right? So just pay attention to that. All right, MREs. We just came from the scout meeting, and some folks brought in 3 different MREs to the scout meeting that we took a look at. One of them was an MRE with pepperoni pizza. Another one was like a hamburger and pepper jack cheese, and I can't remember what the third one was, but we should have broke them out at the meeting and started eating them. All right. Oh, look at that. Any thoughts on the upcoming solar eclipse and risk? I think the greatest risk is if you live in that town in Ohio, and I can't remember what town it is right now, because that's where everybody's flocking to right now to, I think, experience the longest portion of the solar eclipse. So they're going to probably take out all the lodging and accommodations in that, all the cell phone towers. So there's going to be like a communications blackout as everybody descends on that town in Ohio. That's what I think the greatest risk is right now. I do think it'll probably turn into, and if you've recently went to, which one is it? I was going to say Netflix documentary, but I don't think it's Max, whatever you call HBO now, Max. There's a documentary on there that's called Y2K. So this whole solar eclipse thing is probably another Y2K. Does anybody remember what happened at Y2K? Do you remember where you were at Y2K? Better yet, or can you remember? But look, Papa wants that ration of beef stroganoff. Oh, dehydrated sliced potato. Look, yep, and nothing happened at Y2K, right? A bunch of us, we were still in the Navy and asleep. Yeah, Papa was asleep, but a bunch of us in the Navy, we went to New Orleans for Y2K because we're like, hey, if it happens, we should be in New Orleans, you know. But go back and watch the Y2K documentary that is on Max, and if you don't have it, it could be on Rumble or one of those others. I did not realize the extent that people were going to in terms of preparations for Y2K. I was oblivious to it. And I think it was because we were in the Navy back then. And I think social media and YouTube and things like that weren't what they are today. That's right. I took Dad's video camera with us on that adventure to New Orleans. That's a conversation for another day. Plead the fifth. Oh, yes. Very nice. But look, if you go back and watch that documentary and you look at what people were preparing for, it's like similar to if people were putting a lot of stock into Mayan calendar for 2012. So some of that same stuff. I think the solar eclipse will come and go. I do think it's a once in a lifetime opportunity and event for all of us. So I think, hey, make sure you're ready for it. And somebody remind me, is it April 8th or somewhere around there when it's happening? NDAs would need to be discussed. Oh my, yeah, probably. Where were you? Who were you with? What did you do? So solar eclipse though, somebody in the chat, double check. Is that April 8th? And then what time is it? Is it noon or 1 o'clock or what's happening? Oh man, yeah. Look at Papa. He's saying some people were getting some beads. Congratulations. All right, so I want to make sure I answered that all those questions up there. What the original question when we got on some of this stuff was, what are some of the things to have preparedness wise at the house? And we covered food and water to start off with because you have shelter and air, etc. April 8th, there you go. And then 11:07. Look, when I said noon, that was pretty close. All right. All right, so let's all be ready for it when it comes, and let's all get some videos of it. And then look, if you've looked at some of the videos we have, I've started dropping them into different playlists to kind of separate them all out. There is this one playlist that I'm just dropping the funny ones in there. If you remember the blue moon, and I think that was October 22nd or October 23rd, 2023. It was this probably a once in a lifetime moon for all I know at this point. But there's this odd object that is hovering below the moon that we saw from our porch. The funniest part is what we're saying while we're looking at this. And I'm in the video and it's like, it's aliens, and we're all kind of laughing and joking. But seriously, it's like this orb below the moon. What are we going to see this time for the solar eclipse? Oh, yeah, eye safety, right? I've got some eclipse glasses. I tried to use them for using the Fresnel lens when we were building some of the fires, but the eclipse glasses are so dark you can't even see anything. So we had to go back to standard sunglasses when we were using the Fresnel lens. And look, if y'all haven't watched some of these videos with this Fresnel lens, we were setting leaves on fire in like 3 seconds. I set tinder and kindling on fire in less than a minute. I set a piece of fat wood on fire in 30 seconds with that thing. It was crazy, and look, we were out there trying to do some stuff with this thing too. And this is your everyday carry wallet version of the Fresnel lens. And look, in the videos, I even say it wrong. I say Fresnel. I've been schooled now. It's Fresnel. So I still have one of these in the wallet because I do have the video where I got an ember on a leaf. I got that ember from the leaf onto paper. I get the paper started on fire by putting a cotton ball of Vaseline in there. But anyways, that's some of the cool videos that we've been doing. Eye safety for the eclipse. Don't forget that. If you are going to be out there, it's probably not too late because now's the 19th that you can go in there. All right, first aid to have handy in the house. Very, very, very good question. So last night I did a review of an IFAC, number one. And then I did a review of like a family first aid kit. And then I did a review of a trauma kit in the videos last night. But first and foremost, Ethan, it comes back to the Survival Medicine Handbook. So I want y'all to make sure you look this one up or screenshot this. So this is a fantastic book that anybody should have, and especially train on some of these items, especially if you do any backcountry hiking and camping and stuff like that. But this book is fantastic. In the first few pages, they roll through what you should have in an individual first aid kit, IFAC. and then they'll go through what you should have for your family or your group kit, right? But everybody should have something that's about like this. And when you open it up, you're gonna try to get everything organized in here in a certain way so it's easier for you to find stuff without just getting crazy with it. But think about over the years, what were some of the injuries that you've had in the house, right? I've drilled through my thumbnail before in the house, stuff like that. Probably some of y'all have had that what's that called, pneumatic hammer, whatever, and driven a nail through your hand. Think about some of the worst things. There's cuts, right? Some of y'all might have chopped a finger off on a saw at home that might be actually listening right now. So you think about all those events that you had. Has Ethan learned CPR? Yes. We taught them CPR and we had them demonstrate without, getting too crazy with chest compression. But yes, some of the things that you want to have in the first aid kit, a big, a short, yes. Look, and shut the hand in the car door. A big assessment of different types of Band-Aids, large and small. A lot of different gauze pads. So you have an assortment of gauze pads because, anybody on here, what happens as I'm layering on some gauze pads from a massive cut? And it's not stopped bleeding. What do I do next in terms of materials? Do I take those gauze pads off and I add some more because they're saturated, right? You keep adding more and you add more and you add more, right? So plenty of gauze pads needs to be in your family first aid kit. You need to have some of these compression bandages too. And when you look on the back, there's pictures here to show you how to use the compression bandages, etc. Look, worst case, you got a tourniquet in here in your kit, and you have some quick clot. So obviously, I'm covering some of these worst bleeding incidents, right? But this is real deal. I wish I would have had quick clot a long time ago. And look, just like this, tourniquets are everywhere in my house. I also keep in this first aid kit, I've got the chest seals. You never know, right? Yes, bit the finger off. So chest seals. What we learned last time we were on summer vacation and also spring break, ear infections, ear drops, eye drops. Don't forget sting relief, alcohol prep pads, Mylar blanket. You may need a syringe to wash some stuff out. You got burn cream, triple antibiotic ointment, of course, right? So recommendations for burn care, right? Yes. So I got a pretty bad burn a few weeks ago working on the car, and I touched the exhaust as I was getting the transmission fluid back into the transmission because the fuel port under the car is right next to the exhaust. So first degree burn, that's your sunburn, right? So red skin, we need to get aloe and things like that. So second degree burn, you're going to get blisters that form. Don't pop the blisters. You can use the burn cream on the blisters. All right. And then loose bandage around that. Third degree burn. That's the most scariest one. Charred skin, melted skin, probably got clothes melted to the burn. So if you got a third degree burn, you need to start getting worried about shock. So third degree burn, you need to, quickly assess for shock. Probably be getting that person to the hospital because they're going to have to get some clothes cut off and everything else and some serious treatment. All right. Thoughts on iodine for radioactive incident? Yes, tablets, right? So does anybody here know why we would want to take some potassium iodine tablets if there was some type of nuclear incident, right? Does anybody know why we would do that? So thyroid, right? So you're going to get, thyroid cancer is one of those things that you're going to think about when you have radiation exposure and where it's going to collect. So if you've been taking the iodine tablets, and we can look that up, right? If you've been taking the iodine tablets, then you're dosed up to protect your thyroid. All right. They can be hard to come by. It all depends. I've gotten some off Amazon years ago in my stock. right? So you can check there. But the best thing to do, remember, and a bunch of us that are on here, we came from nuclear power. So time, distance, and shielding. And if you watch some of the videos where I had the radiation detector out and did some point sources and showed you how radioactive they are, and the uranium glass, it was somewhere over here. You take a look at all that and understand that the best thing you can do is get some distance away and then wait for everything to clear out. And then do you take iodine after the incident? Really, it's if you think that you're going to have exposure to it, that's when you would start to dose up. And the container is going to tell you what that dose rate is and stuff like that. All right. Let's see here. Man, this has been fun, right? Doesn't even feel like it's been 25 minutes and it's 10 minutes past my bedtime already. I already lost Ethan. All right. Anybody got any other questions? We'll wrap it up for this one here. I think it was a lot of fun. We'll do another one another night earlier, but I had the scout meeting, so I just got home. Bad breath will keep people away too. Garlic. All right. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. And please, give us a thumbs up, share. We're going to keep doing things and coming up with ideas of stuff. And I've got a poll out there right now. If you go back to some of the posts, I'm looking at what are some people's favorite videos. So go ahead and go on there and vote on that poll. Appreciate it, everybody. Y'all have a great night, and we'll see y'all later.